Hey guys, tonight we settle into something a little twisted, a little cold, and maybe a bit too familiar. You're standing under those flickering fluorescent lights at gate B27, gripping your floral suitcase like it's a lifeline. The kind with a broken zipper you never get around to fixing. You've got your good cardigan on, the one with the gold buttons you wore for your grandson's baptism. But tonight, no one's looking, no one's waving you over. Because they're gone. Your son, his perfect wife, the kids, gone without a word, without even the decency of a passive-aggressive emoji. They said they'd meet you here. All you had to do was wait, maybe grab a coffee. But the minutes stretched long, and the airport announcements began to feel personal. The final boarding call wasn't for strangers anymore. It was for them. And it hit you. They left, on purpose. Now here's the kicker. You probably won't survive this emotionally unscathed. But hey, at least your blood pressure's getting a workout. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Oh, and drop your city and local time in the comments. I want to know where you're tuning in from, and who else is up too late thinking about revenge and regret. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You stare at the row of empty chairs, then back at the departure board. It all feels scripted, like some cosmic prank show where you're the punchline. Historians still argue whether betrayal stings more from family than strangers, but tonight, you're your own primary source. You shuffle toward the airline counter, trying not to let your breath hitch. There's a strange silence in your chest, like the kind that follows after someone slams a door but before you cry. You hand the agent your ID, rehearsing the casual lie you'll tell, just checking on my flight status. But your eyes betray you. You're scanning the screen behind her, hoping to catch their names. There they are. Flight 418 to Maui. Seats 12A through D. Booked and confirmed, without your name anywhere. Not even a standby. You pause. The agent smiles politely, unaware she's just handed you the script to a low-budget revenge movie. That's when your fingers twitch toward your purse. Not for tissues, not for mints. For the envelope, the one with the tickets you bought, the ones they didn't know you still held. You weren't always like this, of course. There was a time when you baked apology pies and wrote thank you notes in cursive, back when air travel included meals and polite conversation. Historians still argue whether air travel lost its soul with the death of Concorde or the birth of budget airlines. You step aside and watch a family argue over boarding groups. The mother's yelling about TSA lines while the father fumbles with a tablet. That's the moment it clicks. Your son's family turned you into baggage, something to be checked, delayed, or worse, forgotten. But not tonight. Oh, and here's your quirky airport tidbit. The first moving sidewalk was installed in 1893 at the Chicago World's Fair. Imagine how smug your daughter-in-law would look on one of those, wheeling her monogrammed carry-on like she owns the jet bridge. But you? You own the tickets. All of them. You find a chair near the oversized potted plant. Plastic, of course, with a slight sheen that screams 1990s airport chic. From this vantage point, you have a clear line of sight to the security checkpoint. No sign of them yet. Perfect. The envelope in your lap suddenly feels heavier than it should. Not because of the weight of the tickets, but because of what they represent. Trust, severed. Respect, discarded. You remember booking those seats yourself, one by one, before your daughter-in-law graciously offered to take over. Her voice had that syrupy edge. "We'll handle the rest, Mom. You've done enough already." Apparently you had. You pull out the tickets and glance over the names. Yours included. Of course it was, until it wasn't. Historians still argue whether betrayal cuts deeper when it comes from family or friends. But your vote is cast tonight. A man walks by with a neck pillow shaped like a flamingo. That's new. Flamingo neck pillows weren't a thing when airports smelled like pipe tobacco and people dressed up to fly. Back then, even Coach came with complimentary peanuts and dignity. You remember your son as a boy. Curly-haired, forever sticky-fingered, with a habit of falling asleep in your lap during takeoff. Now he's the kind of man who leaves his mother near gate 23 without a text. Growth? Regression? Debate that with Freud. The clock ticks. You know they'll be here soon. Your palms are dry now, strangely calm. Like the moment right before a thunderstorm breaks. Charged, tense, inevitable, and then you see them. marching up the concourse, matching shirts, rolling carry-ons, laughing. They don't see you. Not yet. But you see everything. Your son is wheeling a sleek black suitcase, the kind with 360-degree spinner wheels that glide too perfectly, like they're showing off. His wife trails behind, chatting on her phone, and the two kids are fighting over a tablet, already sticky with fingerprints and resentment. They walk right past you. Right, past. You, not a glance, not a flicker of recognition. You could be a ficus. So you rise, quietly, carefully, and follow at a pace that would have made your younger self proud. You tail them like some silver-haired ninja, right past the Hudson newsstand with the overpriced almonds and the blurry postcards, past the row of those new auto massage chairs no one ever uses, and straight to the departure gate. Gate 37. The irony isn't lost on you. You watch them queue up at the check-in counter. Your daughter-in-law is digging through her giant bag, looking for something, probably the boarding passes. But of course, she won't find them, because they're still nestled in the envelope in your purse, beside 2 butterscotch candies and a folded list of emergency contacts. Historians still debate whether revenge is inherently satisfying or just momentarily delicious. Tonight, it tastes like peppermint and justice. There's a weird satisfaction in knowing you've become an unsolvable mystery to them. You aren't angry. Well, maybe a little. But mostly, you're amused. Like watching a very predictable play unfold while you sit in the audience with the script. You perch on a bench behind a fake ficus, not the same one from earlier, but close enough for poetic symmetry, and you wait. Because waiting, you've learned, is its own form of power. Especially when they don't even know the game has started. You lean back against the cold vinyl of the airport bench, watching the chaos bloom like clockwork. First comes the confusion. Your daughter-in-law's brow furrows, lips pursing. She double-checks her app, her pockets, the bag again. Then she turns to your son, gesturing wildly with her hands, one of which is still holding that half-chewed granola bar. He shrugs, calm at first. But then, like watching a match catch on dry grass, the tension builds. He grabs the bag, rifles through it, his neck flushing red in that way it always has, since he was little, and lying about who ate the last piece of cake. The kids? Still on the tablet, unbothered. One is now watching animated sharks eat each other, which feels, frankly, on theme. What's beautiful is that no one thinks to check on you. You, who supposedly had plenty of time to board. You, who knew how slow you move these days. That's what your son said earlier when he offered you that fake little half smile and said they'd meet you at the gate. But they never did. And now? Now they're learning what happens when you try to outpace the very woman who paid for the trip in the first place. Here's a fun historical tidbit. Cleopatra once snuck herself into Julius Caesar's palace rolled inside a rug. Bold moves from a woman who understood leverage. Historians still argue whether it was seduction or strategy that sealed her fate. You? You're not in a rug. Just a thick cardigan with some serious pocket real estate. But the strategy? Oh, it's there. And you sip it like lukewarm airport coffee. Slightly bitter, oddly comforting. The loudspeaker pings. Final boarding call. Let the games begin. You see it before they do. The slow creep of panic that spreads through the gate like an airborne virus. One family starts frantically rummaging through bags. Another is arguing with the gate agent. Your son and his wife? They're hovering now, caught between self-assurance and dawning horror. And you? You stay seated, your cane resting across your lap like an ancient staff of judgment. One of the kids finally looks up from the tablet and asks, "Are we going on the plane now?" Oh, sweet summer child. It's a little like watching Napoleon realize Moscow was colder than he expected. A sweeping, proud march turned logistical nightmare. Historians still argue whether it was poor planning or sheer arrogance that unraveled his campaign. Maybe both. Probably both. Meanwhile, your son paces. You almost feel bad. Almost. But then you remember the way they sped-walked ahead of you at check-in. You remember how he rolled his eyes when you asked if you had time to use the restroom. You remember being left behind, not once, not twice, but again and again, like a forgotten coat at the back of a car trunk. A woman behind the counter taps her keyboard, frowns, Taps again. Your son leans in, gesturing to his phone. You see it all from your perch. The shift from confidence to confusion to what looks suspiciously like fear. You check your watch, not because you're in a hurry, far from it, but because timing is everything. In ancient Japan, samurai could wait days before striking, all while sipping tea. You didn't bring tea, but you did bring something even better. Receipts. Literal ones, folded right there, in your tote, and a printout, because Wi-Fi is spotty when you're watching karma unfold. You finally rise, not quickly, but deliberately, like an old queen descending the steps of a crumbling palace that still holds power in its bones. Your knees crack, your coat swishes, and your bag bumps gently against your hip. You walk right up to the counter where your son is now stammering something about a reservation code that should still work. The gate agent looks up. Her eyes flick between him and you. You smile politely. Then, with a flair you haven't summoned since your last parent-teacher conference in 1994, you produce the papers. "Oh," you say, as casually as if you're discussing the weather, "I believe this is the updated itinerary. Those other tickets? I canceled them. Figured I wouldn't be needing them anymore." Your son's mouth opens. Nothing comes out. It's like watching a fish realize it's on dry land. Historians still argue whether Julius Caesar truly said, "Et brute," or if that was just Shakespeare putting the right drama in the right place. Either way, betrayal stings harder when it comes from someone close. The gate agent nods slowly, scanning your papers. "These are valid," she says. "Single ticket. Priority boarding. Checked bag included." She glances at your son. "And no group booking on file anymore." Your daughter-in-law tries to speak, but you hold up a hand. "I was told," you say sweetly, "that there wasn't time to wait for me. So I decided not to wait for them." Just behind you, a toddler drops a juice box. It bursts like a tiny water balloon across the tile. The symbolism is so strong you almost laugh. You don't. You just lean in and whisper, "You'll want to rebook quickly. Prices go up fast this close to departure." You step aside. Let them feel the silence. Your son blinks as if he's just woken up from a long nap and doesn't like what he sees. The realization crawls over his face like slow thunderclouds gathering over a beach wedding. He thought you'd wait. He thought you'd stay where he left you, passive, pliable, a background character in his vacation story. But here you are, rewriting the script in real time. And the look on your daughter-in-law's face? Somewhere between a sour grape and a malfunctioning GPS. She's lost. And it's your fault for daring to have a destination of your own. You turn your body slightly away from them now, a pivot as ancient and symbolic as Cleopatra boarding her barge. That gesture has launched 1,000 betrayals. Historians still argue whether Cleopatra truly seduced Caesar for love or simply saw him as her ticket to survival. Either way, it worked. Sometimes a woman makes choices with both hands tied behind her back and still gets the last word. And oh, the silence that surrounds you now. It's not awkward. It's powerful. It's a kind of social kung fu. You're not yelling. You're not sobbing. You're simply done. The gate agent clears her throat and calls your boarding group. You move with the elegance of someone who's just been vindicated by the universe itself. There's a dignity in your walk that no one can quite meet with their eyes. A man in a navy blazer tips his head at you. "Nice move," he murmurs under his breath. You just smile. No need to answer. After all, it's not every day that you get to serve poetic justice with printed boarding documents in a carry-on that's slightly over the weight limit. You settle into the aisle seat with the ease of someone who's walked through fire and come out stylishly singed. The hum of the cabin lulls around you like a lullaby of second chances. Overhead bins clicking shut, announcements bubbling from unseen speakers that baby two rows up already starting to plot chaos. You lean back, press your spine into the seat and breathe. Behind you, your son and his picture-perfect family are still grounded, figuratively and literally. They pace. They argue. They point fingers. You don't look back, but you imagine your daughter-in-law scrolling through airline apps like they're tarot cards, searching for a fate that doesn't involve economy seating and expensive rebooking fees. Historically, power shifts often happen in quiet moments. Take Napoleon. Historians still argue whether he crowned himself emperor because he distrusted the Pope or simply couldn't resist the drama. Either way, it was a statement. Just like this is, a flight attendant offers you a drink, and you ask for ginger ale, chilled. You sip it like it's champagne from Versailles. Outside the window, the sun slipping behind a wisp of cloud, streaking the sky with the kind of gold painters spent centuries trying to trap in oils, the kind of gold that says, "You chose well." Funny thing, once you stop begging people to treat you better, you start getting real quiet. Not sad quiet, not angry quiet, just free quiet. The kind where your bones rest easier and your shoulders forget they were ever clenched. And now here you are, 30,000 feet above their disappointment, wrapped in a blanket of altitude and small triumphs. You might even watch a rom-com, the kind where the heroine finally walks away and finds peace in aisle 18B. The plane rocks gently as you drift somewhere between wakefulness and sleep, the soft murmur of engines syncing with your slow, even breaths. You trace the curve of the armrest with your fingertips, feeling the cool plastic beneath a worn, comforting jacket, the one you grabbed in haste this morning, the one your son never cared to notice. You close your eyes, letting memories fold over you like a quilt. The laughter at family dinners, the silent nods when words failed, the long hours of planning trips now rewritten by a single choice. Historians still argue whether the great explorers who charted unknown lands were driven by courage or desperation. You feel a kinship with them, voyaging into the uncertain sky alone, leaving behind the familiar shores of betrayal. Around you, the cabin lights dim, turning strangers into shadows, and the quiet becomes a sanctuary. You remember how once, decades ago, travelers believed flying would be like touching the gods. Today, it feels more like reclaiming a story written in the margins, one you are finally bold enough to tell aloud. Outside, stars prick the night, steady and unjudging. Your phone buzzes with messages you don't open. You don't need to. Tonight, you are not the abandoned or the slighted. You are the author of your own journey, the one who sold the tickets and took the flight. You smile, a secret smile that no one else sees. The hum deepens, a soft lullaby for the soul. And you, nestled in your seat, allow yourself the peace that comes from quiet rebellion and unexpected freedom.